Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ms. Rachel from the Antioch Public Library District, and I'm here today with an episode of Mural Makers. We're going to be working with neutral colored backgrounds. That is why I gave you gray, black, and brown paper. Now, white is also a neutral color, but because we use white paper so often in our drawings, I wanted you to experiment with some different colors to see which ones combine differently with the bright colors of the pastels to make an interesting background. Neutral colors are colors that are neither warm nor cool. Warm colors are your bright yellows, your oranges, your pinks, and your reds, and the cool colors are the greens, the blues, and the purples. Today we're working with pastels, which are a lot like crayons except more oily. You're going to start by drawing in either pencil or with a white colored pencil or even with glue if you're using your black paper, which we'll get to in just a minute. I'm going to start by drawing a flower because today we're focusing on plants and flowers. I'm going to start by drawing it in the center of my page because that's one interesting way to draw a flower. I'm going to draw the center, and then I'm going to make some leaves coming out of it. Some petals, sorry. And the petals are not always going to be the same shape and size because in nature flowers have different shape and sized petals, but they're all fairly close together. Now that I have that, I want to color it in. So I'm going to take my pastels and I'm going to make a nice, thick, sharp, straight line coloring in the petal so that you can see just about, and you want to use your pastel just like you would use a crayon. So this is the sort of thing that'll start to happen once you start drawing the outline in the pastels. I'm using red. You can use red, you can use pink, you can use any color that you can imagine. It doesn't even have to look like a real flower. If you want your flower or your plant to look like a real one, you can feel free to look up pictures in books or with the help of an adult, look up on the internet pictures of flowers or plants that you want to use as a guide, which is something that artists refer to as a reference. So now that I have the petal outline, I'm going to color in the center of my flower. Now I'm going to stick with another warm color, this orange here, that I'm using to make the center of my flower. And so that's the kind of things that happen. And then once you start to color with your pastel crayon, you're going to see sharp, bright textures, and you're going to see it pop up very quickly. So I'm going to follow the circular pattern of the center of this flower here to fill it in, and that's how we start coloring in our flowers. Or if you're doing a cactus or a tree or some other plant, that's okay too. And as we draw more, of course, I'll color in the red petals and I'll do something in the background. I'm going to add a few leaves here because plants tend to have leaves in addition to their petals. I'm going to put one there and here, and then for the sake of symmetry I'll put one more over here. And then I'm going to go through and I'm going to erase my pencil lines that I've gone over with the red pastel crayon, and now I'm going to go in and color in my leaves. Nice green. You've got a nice light green in your pastels, which will look good if you use darker or more bright colors. It's a nice balance. See what happens here once we start adding the leaves. And then I would do some kind of background and my picture would be done. Another thing you can do is you can use the black paper and draw a very light line and then go over it with some glue. I would recommend that you use ordinary school glue, which I should have had out, I apologize. Ordinary school glue, and just very lightly squeeze it out. And you want to be careful not to get too globby because when it finishes, it's going to look like this. And it'll provide those thick lines that you want for your pastel, and it'll give you a nice outline for your drawing. I've made a cactus here out of glue, and now I'm going to go through and start coloring it in a little so you can get some idea of what this will look like when it's finished. And excuse me, and of course I'm not going to do my entire cactus here on the video because that would take 15 to 20 minutes to color the whole thing in and to give you all the details that you would want to see in a completed drawing. I do have one example of a completed drawing that I will show to you when I finish working on my cactus here. And I'm just nicely following the lines that I already drew out in the glue to create the texture of this cactus. I'm drawing a saguaro cactus, and I did look up a reference on the internet, and it was a very big, tall cactus with lots of pretty flowers on the top. And so I've got the arm coming out of the center there, and then because of the glue, you've got that nice texture. And now I'm going to draw the rest of the cactus, color it in, and I'm going to use straight lines because cactus is very tall and it looks like it's standing up straight, so I do not want to use the same round lines that I was using in my flower drawing because flower petals tend to be round or oval shaped. And you're just going to color it in and take your time so that it looks nice and even. You don't want to have too much white or blank space underneath your art. So you want your picture to start in the center of the page, and as you can see, I've used pretty much this entire page here to draw one cactus. And so once I finish coloring it in, I'm going to do the background, and it won't take up very much space, and then there won't be any blank space left in the drawing, which is exactly what we want for our art projects here. And so I'm not going to color in the entire cactus while you sit here and watch, but I am going to do the flowers on top, and then I'll give you some idea of what you can do for a background. Even though, actually I am going to use the colors that I saw in my reference drawing, which was a white petal for the cactus flowers. And so that is what I'm doing here. And now I am using nice round lines. I'm drawing around and around in a circle with my pastel crayon to give the petals that round look. And the nice thing about the glue line, and make sure you wait until it's completely dry, is that it doesn't let you color outside the lines because it's thicker than your crayon. So that's our cactus. I'm going to add just a little more green so that you can see the contrast of the green and the white together. And then if I were going to complete this drawing with a full background, I would probably use yellows and oranges like I were drawing a sunset. So just very lightly, very gently, drawing across the back of my picture, coming out here, and going across here. You can see I'm using warm colors in contrast to the cool color of the green cactus. I'm using the orange and the yellow. I couldn't give you any pinks because we didn't have pink pastel crayons in the library, but if you want to get out a regular pink crayon or a pink marker and combine that with your drawing, that's okay too. Just so long as you experiment with the pastels so that you get used to using them and so that your drawing has the same basic texture as the other drawings, because part of this program sunflower drawings and pictures online for a reference. When you finish your drawing, you may want to use spirals for your background, you may want to use straight lines, or you may want to draw smaller flowers. It's entirely up to you. Just make sure that when you've finished, you write your name on the back of your drawing, you bring it into the library so we can display it in our mural. That's all I have for now. Bye-bye.